So jagged arrays are basically two-dimensional arrays that has varying lengths in each of the arrays. So first you need to create a container of containers. So basically your initial kind of array, and the first array, so the outer array, which will store references to one-dimensional arrays. Okay, so let's take a look at what this means. So when you are creating your multi-dimensional array, so the int my array, for example, right, you have to give it a size. So we do 10 and 10. It's basically going, or let me do something small. 3 and 3. You're just creating a size of, of 3 in here, and in here. Right? So this is what happens, but you can also have, different sizes. And this is what we call jagged arrays, where the sizes don't exactly match to be the same. You can have something more and something less, and that is okay to do. And the way you would do this is kind of set it like this, but you have to give it when you try to access something like this, we do our nested for loops. Yes, you can do that, but let's take a look at when you try to kind of access that point. When you do this, you're kind of telling it that you have an array that has some size, but when you try to access those points, you actually have to probably give it a size when you go around it, or you can do like something we call like fast initialization, where you give it like a value, right? 3, and then we can do something like 2, right? Something like this. And you can do this, and this is totally fine. And this is where like the lengths come into play, right? Because they're all different lengths. So you have to do something like, my array at position I at, dot length, right? So if we do something like this, my array, my array dot length, and then I do my array at I dot length, and I print this out. Let me just comment this out. Right, they're all gonna have different sizes. Right, so 3, right, this is the size of this, 2 is the size of this, and 4 is the size of this. So let's say you didn't give it like an initial, initial value. Right, so if I go in here and I print it out, 1, I'm not 100% sure, but it might throw me an error. Right, so null point exception. So can't read the array.length because my array is null. So what we actually have to do is we have to initialize the size of the array. So you have to do something like my array at I, so it's a new int at size 5, or do I plus 1. And then you can go in here, and then you can probably start printing out the sizes of the array. So 1, 2, 3. So this is how you kind of access it. So in here, you can probably do something like, a nested for loop. You can do my array at I dot length. In here, you can start filling it up with some sort of value. So my array at I at j is equal to, I don't know, I plus j, right? And then you can start printing it out, this, and something like this, right? So All right, so this is 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Right, don't worry about too much numbers, the length, right? That's what I want to emphasize here. So you always have to specify like the outer size of the array. So how many arrays you want to store in. You always have to emphasize that. If you don't, then, it's gonna actually tell me that it's wrong. Array initializer expected, so the initializer that's expected is the size. Or, like fast initialization where you give it some sort of value. Right, so you have to tell it the initial size, the outer size of the array. And then you don't have to give it the inner sizes of the array. You can set it at any point you want.